Hi, it's Natalie. Today I'm going to make some framed journal cards out of book pages, just to use up some book pages. This is another one of the Facebook monthly challenges from the Tatty Treasure Facebook group. So I'm going to have a little go at doing something. I've got quite a lot of book pages. So here I've got a few little frame sort of shapes that I've cut out of paper, and it just helps me to see what bits I might want to use just to frame them up. Just having a quick look to see which bits I might want to cut out. I think these birds are really nice here. Just seeing whether I want the other one at the side or just those in a group. And he's quite nice as well. There's quite a lot of elements here that you could use. You could do a bigger card like this one. Yeah, so I'm just, he's lovely in a bigger card, and I think he's quite good plain. So yeah, I think I'm going to go for this little group of birds first, and I'm going to choose something for the frame for the outside. I've got these, I did some mono printing a while back, and I scanned some of them in, and I just can print them out, and I've used them for collaging and all kinds of stuff. These ones I've digitally layered on some coffee background. Just having a look again to see which ones I might want to use for my frames for the cards. These ones are quite bright. I might use something a bit more muted, or not sure whether to go for contrast or a bit more tonal. So I think I'm going to keep this one out, and then in this other folder, these are just printouts that are public domain images and things like that. These are all, I think, coffee dyed after they've been printed. So just having a little look here, see if there's anything else that I might want to use as a frame. And I think this one's just a wallpaper image. Yeah, I think either of these would be quite a good frame for these birds. So I'm just can't decide which I'm gonna use, so I'll just keep them both out, and I think I'm probably gonna decide on that one. Okay, so I'm just gonna mark out now just the basic shape, size that I want, where I want to cut them out, how I want to frame them up. Just gonna move it around. I've decided that I might want to use that other bird next to them for something else, so I want to leave him in one piece if possible. So yeah, I'm just gonna cut him off the end and use the main group there. The idea of these cards is that we're going to have both sides of the page actually that we're using. We're going to be able to see both sides. So I'm choosing the main image, and then framing that up, and then we'll see what's on the other side, and hopefully it'll look nice on the other side too. The Edith Holden pages are quite nice because they're usually on quite thick paper, quite stiff paper, so it actually holds up quite well on its own as a card. with only one layer. I mean, you could put more than one layer together. You could back it if you don't like what's on the back. Anything really. So yeah, I'm just keeping that other little bird for later. Both of those can be used later on. Right, so this is the bit that I've chosen. I've chosen this to go do the frame. So then I'm going to just start measuring up how wide I want the border around the edge, and how far I want to come onto the picture with the border. So I'm just kind of mapping out what I want it to look like. I also can't decide whether I'm going to have square corners or whether I'm going to do it at a bit of an angle. So I'm just drawing it all on in pencil and having a little think about what I'm going to actually do. And yeah, I think I've decided I want the border to come just about 5mm, I think, onto the picture there, and then 1.5 I think I decide in total for the width of the border as the finished width. So I'm going to work out how wide that needs to be total. I'm going to fold in the edges as well, so I'll be adding a bit more. So I'm cutting my strip at 4cm wide, and then by the time I've folded, you'll see what I'm doing in a minute anyway, and how I'm constructing the frame around the edge. But yeah, I'm cutting mine at 4cm, and then yeah, well, we can measure after how much we need in the length. I think I did work out this one for the sides, but you might need to trim it down or whatever after, because when you're actually doing it in the paper, things can change. So just cutting out the 2 strips for the sides first, to go down one side and the other side, and then I'll do the top and the bottom after. So I'm just marking on, I think, 5mm on either side, which is the bit that I'm going to fold in, and then I'm marking halfway. I'm just going to fold it halfway, just doing to show you. So doing that on both pieces. So basically those are the three fold lines that I'm going to use, and then it's going to wrap around the edge. So I'm just going to fold it this way first, because it's easier to see the line that I'm folding along, and then folding it all in half, completely down the middle, and then on the other side, just so it's a nice sharp fold as well. And then I'm going to fold it all back the other way, because I need it to all fold in on itself. So that's the edges folded in and then folded in half. So it basically wraps around the edge, so the front and the back of the card is covered. And then the other piece, just do the same thing, just folding in and then folding in half, and then that will go along the other side. Just doing the fold down the center. After you've, I'm working out what I'm doing as I go along on this. So after you've worked out what you're doing, you can just do them really quickly. But I was still thinking about what I was actually going to do. So yeah, that can go into that side. So I've marked on how far I want it to overlap. You can push it right to the edge, or you can, it depends how much of the picture you're covering. I'm just drawing on. Oh yeah, I'm measuring actually now. I'm just measuring what size kind of strip I might need for the top part. And again, whether I'm cutting at an angle in the corners or just going straight across. I'll show you in a minute both options and which one I go for. So marking on just the 5mm that I want it to overlap by, just as a guide for when I'm gluing it down in a minute. I'm just having another little think about the angles. Right, so I'm going to cut 2 more strips, and one will be for the top and one for the bottom. Again, the same width, 4cm. I'm going to fold it exactly the same as the other one, with the 5mm each side folded in. Obviously, you don't have to fold in the edges. You can have torn edges or just cut edges. Just fold the strip in half. You could use 2 strips, one on the front, one on the back, so that's all rough edges. I mean, I'm just doing it this way because I quite like the folded edges. Them being folded in, it gives it a little bit more depth around the picture. Gives it a bit more dimension. To have the folded in edges, just makes the frame look a little bit deeper instead of it being quite so flat. So yeah, I'm just having a look at how much I need to go across the top and the bottom. I just fold both these strips and then cut off the bits that I don't need after. Right, yeah, so again we're going to have to draw our lines across just to fold it in. You could fold it in by eye. I'm quite neat with these things, so I like to have a guide just so that I'm folding it in, but you could just fold in a little bit by eye. I just want to make sure mostly that it's the same both sides, so the front and the back, and when I fold it in half I want to have the finish width on both sides the same, but you don't need to have that. That's just my preference. So again, folding in. I'm not going to fold the whole thing, so I think I've got plenty there to go across. So right, so I'm going to just line up this one. So I've got a bit of overhang at the top and the bottom. I might need to cut a bit of this off after, but I just want a little bit extra so that I can have a bit to play with. And you can always cut off excess, but if you cut it too small, then it's a bit of a problem. I'm going to go ahead now and start a bit of gluing on this first side. I'm just going to glue down one edge, and then I'm going to just push it in to the mark that I've made, so it overlaps how I want it to. Even overhang at the top and the bottom. I can adjust later and then just smooth that down, and then turn it over, and I'll stick the other edge to the other side, and then that's the first edge there. I've got the other piece for the other side, so exactly the same. It all gets stuck on exactly the same now. Just glue again down this side and insert it in between the 2 layers, and stick it down, and then doing the same after that onto the other side. So once you've got all your pieces, it's actually quite simple to put it all together. It's just cutting all your strips and folding that takes longer. So it's quite stiff paper. So got space here. The back can be journal space, or just as a picture, or you could stick something on there. You could put a piece of paper over the top. There's, you know, loads of things you could do with this idea. So just now having a look and just seeing if that folds over to the mark where I want it to cover the card. I think see, I've got it with this square end there. I'm just gonna cut that down, and then the same will go on the bottom, and then it's all starting to look pretty good. So now I'm gonna have a little look at whether I want to do the angled corners or the square corners. So I'm just gonna, I folded one end, and I'm just gonna have a look and fold the other end at an angle and see which one I like best. I'm just gonna mark on where the fold lines need to be. The idea is that you know, for it to look like a little picture frame with the mitered corners. So just folding in, just struggling a little bit, folding the paper in as it should be, evenly both sides. You have to be quite neat if you're doing the mitered corners, because you want it to look like it's meeting together all the way around. You don't want any big gaps, so you want to make sure you fold it properly if you're doing it this way. I'm just folding in now on either side, and yeah, I'm just having a little bit of a fiddle to make sure it's even. I'm just drawing on the angle that I need, and then I can trim off a bit at the ends to fold in. Just folding it in the same as I did at the other end. Just on this end it'll be a bit of an angle. Just folding it in there now, and then folding the corners as nicely as I can, and then folding the other corner, and just making sure I don't have, cutting off a little bit at the top here and folding in a bit like you would on your corners on your cover for your journal. And I'm just folding in a little bit just to make a nicer corner. So there's my angle, and then I'm just going to fold it in half the same as before, just trimming off a little bit so I don't have any excess sticking out or anything. Okay, so I'm going to have a look and see which I prefer. This is quite a good effect if you've got like contrasting sides, or it's a nice effect. I think I'm thinking I quite like actually the squared corners. So just going all the way across, but yeah, I'm just adjusting it slightly because it was slightly too long. It's hanging over the edge. Just having another little look. It is a slightly more fiddly way to do it, but sometimes it's quite nice. Just having another look there. So that's fine actually. Yeah, it's quite a nice effect, but I think actually I'm gonna actually just go with the square. Go with the square. I don't think I've decided. There you go. So right, I'm going to carry on just doing it. So the top and bottom now are going to overlap on the side pieces and along the top and the bottom. I'm just measuring enough so I can fold in the ends. You don't need to fold in the ends down the two first sides, because they're going to be basically covered really. It doesn't matter. So you could do the same. It just adds extra bulk at the corners that you don't really need, so I don't bother. But I will be turning in these corners because they'll be over the top. So yeah, that's one piece folded, and then I'm gonna just measure the other piece out and cut that to the right length, and then do exactly the same with all the folding in at the sides, 0.5 millimeters, and it's already folded down the center. So yeah, same folding as before, all the same way. Just gonna fold it that way, and then afterwards fold it the other way. Here we go. That's all done. Right, so I've got all my pieces now, so I can just marking on the exact length that I need and how much to fold in. So it comes to the edge, and then just folding it one way and then folding it back the other way. Okay, so and when you do this and you fold it in half, you sometimes end up with a little bit of bulk underneath that you might need to trim off, but I'll show you that in a minute. I'm just checking now if it comes down to the mark where I want it to sit, or if I need to trim any off. I'm going to trim a little bit off of the length of these so that it fits nicely down to the mark that I drew on the picture. So I'm going to cut off just these inside corners, just so that when I fold it over, it doesn't stick out. Just do that on all the corners, and it'll be the same just for everything. Just, it doesn't have to be too neat. It's just the very corner that you need to cut off so it doesn't stick below when you fold. Right, so there's my pieces. So I need to just double check that I've got them lining up where they should be, and then I'm gonna go ahead and continue gluing. Got a little bit of let my glue dry up there, so get the pin in there and clear it out. And okay, off we go. Bit of glue along there. Just doing it exactly the same as I did for the sides. It's just that I've got the ends folded in now, so yeah, pressing it down, and then turn over and do the other side exactly the same as before. So it's all the same process, really, just going along methodically, just sticking the front and then the back. It's looking quite nice now, the contrast with the frame and the picture. And then the last side, I'm just going to measure it up as before, see if I need to trim. I'm going to trim a little bit off up here, just so that it comes to the mark that I made earlier. Yeah, I think we're okay there now. So I'm going to put some glue on this side, again following exactly the same process as before. Put in one side, stick it down, make sure it's all stuck down, especially at the corners. You want to make sure it's stuck down at either end, so it doesn't lift up at the ends, because you want the corners to be nice and neat. Right, so that's the last side. So that's all nicely stuck down. We've got the nice frame around, and yeah, I'm very pleased actually with that. I think it looks really good. I'm gonna just ink around the edges. You can ink the other folded edges before you attach it if you want. I'm just going to do a little bit of inking on this one. I don't think we need too much. I'm just going to literally do the edges, just to blend them a bit, and so on the corners, just in case there's any edges that are white or just need to be disguised, just go around and blend them in. This is the vintage photo, which is what I use most of the time for all my things. So there we go. I think it looks really nice. Now I'm just thinking if there's anything else I would like to do. I really like the birds on the front. I'm just thinking about the back. It's quite nice. You could just cover it with some paper, or what I'm thinking now is I might use the other bird that I cut off from the other side, and I might just fussy cut him out and stick him on this side, just for a little bit more detail on this side. So I'm just gonna quickly, or not so quickly, cut round him and see if he looks nice just next to these little quite nice autumny twiggy bits. So just cutting off all the excess, and then we'll see. I just think it needs a little bit extra on the back. Sometimes it's hard to know when to stop adding, but I think this will be quite nice. So yeah, I'm just going to place him, work out where I'm going to put him, and I think actually be quite nice if it goes just over the frame, over the edges of the frame, just to create a little bit of depth, a little bit of dimension. So I'm going to ink around the edges of this, and then attach it on. So just getting in, just so there's not any bright edges. They're gonna look out of place, and I'll get a bit of glue on it. Okay, and yeah, just gonna make sure that a little bit of it is onto the frame. See how it looks a bit less two-dimensional once you actually overlap things outside of the frame and then the other things inside the frame. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah, I'm very pleased with that actually. It looks really good. You've used both sides of the page. One of the things with the Edith Holden is that very often if you want to use one side of the page, then you have to ruin the other side. Right, I'm just going to carry on now and just follow exactly the same process. I'm cutting out this one here, and I'm going to basically do the same process with a different piece of paper for the frame. I'm going to do it in really exactly the same way, so I'm just going to probably just speed it up a bit, and yeah, just quickly get going with this one. Just coming to the end of the framing process for this one. Just going to do the last edge with the folding in of the edges, and then I'm going to glue it on. So this is the last edge. So as you can see, it was just exactly the same process, just with a different paper. I've inked all the edges of this one before I've added it, so all the inside edges as well are also inked, because it was a slightly whiter background on this this piece of paper I've used for the border, so I thought I'd ink it all beforehand just to make it stand out a little bit more. So okay, just going to wipe it down with the dry wipe. Yeah, and then the last edge on this side, just putting some glue and then wiping it again with the dry wipe, so I've got no bits of glue sticking over the edge. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this one as well. Actually, it's really, I think it's lovely. I think I'm going to leave him quite plain on that side actually, because he looks quite good on his own. Obviously I haven't made these for a particular project, so if I need them for a project, then I can decorate them further if I need to. But at the moment, I quite like the front. On the other side, I'm just having a look. I've just picked out a few things, just to, like on the other one. It's not. I thought it'd be nice if I have a few things that are just on the outside of the frame as well, just to make it look a little bit more dimensional. So I'm just going to ink around. These are all actually things that I've printed onto sticker paper, so they all have a sticky back already, so I don't need to glue. I just need to be able to get the back off of the stickers, which isn't always really easy. Just inking the edges of this before I stick them on, just to get rid of the white edges from where I fussy cut them out. Now I'm going to attempt, if possible, to get the backing paper off of these stickers so I can stick them down. There we go, there's one. So yeah, again, sticking it over the frame just to create a bit of depth, and then just gonna stick another one on if I can possibly peel off the back of the sticker. Yeah, there we go at last. So I'm just gonna stick that one down next to him. Yeah, looks really good. And I've got this butterfly or moth. It looks more like a moth, I think. Yeah, again, trying to desperately peel off the backing paper. There we go. Okay, I'm just gonna work out where I want this one positioned. I'm gonna decide that just slightly over the frame at the top there will be quite nice. So again, we've got some journaling space actually on this one. We've got a nice space there we can use for journaling. Just thinking, I like this plain, but maybe something on here like a label. So I'm going to have a look in my little label section of my ephemera. These are all, I think these ones are Tracy Fox labels. And just having a quick look at a few different ones. I think the green ones are what I'm looking at. Just seeing if there's any that look quite nice. I think I'm going to go for this one here. Just to stick that again onto the frame. So this one looks more like a bit of a specimen card, framed picture with a little label at the bottom. A bit more like a sort of painting or specimen. Another sticker. These are also printed onto sticker paper, which I think is quite handy with these labels actually, because you can just stick them on anything. Just gonna get it roughly in the center, partly onto the frame, and yeah, just give that a little press down, and yeah, I think that looks great now. So okay, that's another one. So there's two very different, but both using the Edith Holden, and they've both got journal space on the back and a really nice image on the front. I've gone ahead and I've made another one miraculously, and yeah, I'm really actually enjoying this. One's got a different colour border. I'm going to use one of the monoprint pages. So here they are. So the front and the back of that one, which I think look really great. Space there for writing or sticking, whatever you like. He looks really great. I think the frame on that one is really good with the monoprint. And then we've got a space on the back of that one as well as a nice picture. And yeah, this is the other one that I made, the butterfly, little photos and diamantes, bit of muslin. I've sort of slightly bent the butterfly as I put him on, just for a bit of extra dimension. And then on the other side, just got a little journaling space, little label. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Bye.